It's another in a long line of cases, in a growing line, I should say, which really casts doubt as to this incessant and antagonistic rhetoric from the SEC, which is an organization very used to having what it says being just deemed as law by everybody. And, the tide is turning in that regard. And I certainly believe that. And that's very good news for crypto.
Let's start with the most timely first. The recent Uniswap decision sounds like it was a class action lawsuit. Was maybe some similar rings and tones to the Tornado Cash challenge, where are you going to hold a developer responsible for some things that happened on a open source protocol? In this case, it was it's a decentralized automated market maker.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us how that case is. Well, tell us first of all what happened. What did the judge decide, and then what are the implications for that going forward with some of this SEC Coinbase litigation, securities litigation?
Sure. So in this case, a bunch of private plaintiffs took advantage of an opportunity in the federal securities laws to bring a private suit against another party. This is our federal securities laws obviously allows the SEC to sue you. They also allow in certain instances a private party to sue another private party. In this instance, they alleged that these plaintiffs had bought some ridiculous altcoin, which they probably shouldn't have been buying, and lost all their money in a rug pull, which means that the token value went to zero after essentially the creators of the token stole all their money and disappeared, because the creators and the issuers of this new token were anonymous and no one knew who they were. So given that they had a loss and nobody to go after, they went after Uniswap. And they not only went after Uniswap, the protocol and the protocol labs, they went after the investors who backed Uniswap and had put money into Uniswap, the protocol, essentially alleging like you built the platform on which this token was allowed to like have a pair, and therefore, for a number of different reasons, you should be held responsible for a loss. Among others, like you're responsible for, to some extent, providing an exchange mechanism or even issuing this scam token. This was brought in federal court in Manhattan, known as the Southern District of New York. As popularly noted, it is a very well-respected district court, which is the lowest trial level court in the federal system on issues of corporate malfeasance and especially securities law. SEC brings a lot of their cases in the Southern District of New York because the expertise that court has on these matters. So the judge in this case is actually the same judge who's hearing the SEC v. Coinbase case, and that'll be interesting in a second. But the defendants in this case, Uniswap and these investors, filed to dismiss the case, saying the allegations, assuming they're all true, do not allow this case to proceed because they're insufficient as a matter of law. And the judge agreed across the board. The judge noted that what was really happening here, some third-party scam artist used this platform to trick the plaintiffs out of their money and to defraud them. Because those particular perpetrators were not identifiable, the plaintiffs did the only thing that they could do and try to come up with a case to recoup their loss against Uniswap. And the judge says the securities laws do not permit you to do that under these theories. And one of the things, there's a number of notable things in the case. One, the judge notes that a lot of altcoins are ERC20 tokens. They're a token specification built on Ethereum. She's like, no one, whether or not these ERC20s are securities has not been determined by anybody with a competent authority to determine that. And included in that list are the courts and Congress. She doesn't mention the SEC as being a competent authority to determine that. I thought that was notable.
That's telling, yeah.
There was another comment of about tokens having, like, new tokens that don't necessarily have inherent value because they were created out of thin air, and how there's a distinction between, she identifies an implicit distinction between those tokens and tokens that do have inherent value, like Ethereum. which is notable. This is a federal court judge identifying a crypto token as having inherent value.
Wow.
Where in other contexts, especially, the brightest minds of the traditional financial world say that these things don't have an inherent value. But fundamentally, I'll wrap up with this. She makes a number of, in pointing out that their case is flawed in meaningful ways, where even assuming everything they say is true, they don't have a case. She kept making the point that the federal securities laws don't place liability on the creator of a base protocol on which other people can engage in these tokenomics activities. So Uniswap, the protocol, is just there are legal uses of it. There's nothing tethering the Uniswap labs or any of its investors to the activity which caused the damage, and there's no theory under the securities laws which in this instance would make them liable for their damages. And that can change, but it would take an act of Congress for it to do it. Mm-hmm. And it's a long 53 pages. I'm still grinding my way through it again. But it's another in a long line of cases, in a growing line, I should say, which really casts doubt as to this incessant and antagonistic rhetoric from the SEC, which is an organization very used to having what it says being just deemed as law by everybody. And, the tide is turning in that regard, and I certainly believe that. And that's very good news for crypto.
Hey, it's Amy. Click over here to subscribe, click over here for more content, and we'll see you next time.